hospital in Dubai. He was already very sick from Marfan syndrome, and he was already dying. So nobody had to kill him. He had El-Zawahiri, who was the physician with him, who is still a physician. I don't know where he is. But we knew he was already dead by 9/11. It was very clear that he was dying. At Tora Bora, he probably died. Tommy Franks, general, said accidentally that he died. But
then Madeleine Albright in 2003, on December 17th, went on Fox News program and said that he was dead and on ice, and that the Bush administration was thinking about rolling him out during the 2004 election if they needed it. But then because of that coverage, the inside baseball was they didn't.
Other questions also persist, such as why the narrative and timeline of the raid has changed multiple times, why the White House initially claimed that Situation Room photos showed Obama watching the raid live when in fact there was a blackout on the live feed, and why neighbors in the immediate area surrounding the compound said with absolute certainty that they had never seen bin Laden and that they knew of no evidence whatsoever to suggest he lived there.
You know that if somebody new comes in your street, in your area, you always know. The next house is my other house, which I rented to my cousin friend. I never seen anything like that, and that's why I can't believe that. And to be honest, it's not true. Osama, maybe some other people, but Osama is not the bird who came, went to the inside, because this is restricted area. When we came out from outside to come here, always army will say, oh, where's your ID card? So it's not believed.
They were pounding Pakistani civilians and poor hapless villagers there with their drone attacks, with the Hellfires and with their Reaper missiles. So they have caused something like 2,500 casualties when the man that they were hunting was actually hiding in one of the urban centers of Pakistan. Now this is remarkable.
You want to believe what I call a Lewis Carroll fairy tale, that bin Laden, who the most hunted man since 2002 in the world, decided he's going to, the one safe place to live is in a compound 40 miles from the main capital of Pakistan. I'm sorry, it goes against the grain. I've been doing this all my life, you know, and all I can tell you is I understand the consequences. I've been a reporter, as you know, for 50 years in this town.
Not everything turns out the way you think it's going to turn out also, even in your own career. I mean,
I would argue that a lot of the stories I wrote were pretty much on mark.
John Baum, INFOWARS.com.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there was a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, INFOWARS is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Joe Biggs here with INFOWARS.com. Now, Cleveland is bracing for possible race riots due to the fact that the officer accused of 2 counts of manslaughter could get lesser charges. Now, Officer Michael Brello was involved in a nighttime car chase in November of 2012. Now, all in all, 13 officers were involved in this incident. 137 shots were fired in total. Now, Officer Brello shot 49 times himself. 49 times. I mean, that is out of control. 15 of those shots were fired while Officer Brello was standing on top of the suspect's hood. He was in front of the vehicle and he fired an additional 15 shots into the windshield. 5 of those shots were fatal, and that is what took out Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams. Now, the National Guard is alerting soldiers to report to duty for potential riots to happen in Cleveland. At least one National Guard company has been ordered to report to a home station on May 17th. That is this Sunday. The verdict is expected to be on May 18th or 19th of this month. Now, Cleveland police have also been seen driving around with riot shields sticking out of their trunks, anticipating the Michael Brello decision. Now, Hank Davis is a former gang member who now works with at-risk youth, and he heard that out-of-town agitators have already arrived in Cleveland and are pressuring residents to riot after the verdict. This is something that we saw happen time and time again in Ferguson and in Baltimore. You get people like RevCom, you get all these individuals who thrive off of just complete and total destruction. What people don't understand is when you outlash like this, when you get out of control like this, it does nothing to help the fact that there is police brutality, the fact that the police are being militarized. All this does is destroy the towns that you live in. How does burning small businesses and flipping cars do anything to bring justice to 2 people who were brutally murdered by a police officer? But I can assure you that Jakari Jackson and I will be on standby to deploy to Cleveland in case things get out of control. Him and I will be following this story very closely over the next 48 hours as things develop. So be sure to check from time and time again at INFOWARS.com for more updates, and also go to the Alex Jones Twitter and the Alex Jones YouTube channel. And I'd like to thank you all for getting us over 1 million subscribers. Once again, I'm Joe Biggs with INFOWARS.com.
Jakari Jackson here, INFOWARS.com. We have a new article on the site. House bill seeks to eliminate online ammo sales. And this is a New Jersey Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman and H.R. 2283, known as the Stop Online Ammunition Sales Act of 2015. And it would require face-to-face purchases of ammunition. And with our Second Amendment in the United States of America, I don't have any issue with you buying your ammunition over the internet, and I don't think that personal sales of firearms or ammunition require background checks. I know a lot of people want to have those on ammunition sales as well. I don't agree with this, because you could just as easily walk into Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, Academy, wherever, put down, $1,000, buy $1,000 worth of ammunition. Yeah, that's, catches people's attention, but it is very much legal in the United States of America. And to anybody would say, well, they're stocking up all this ammunition, they're gonna go out there and shoot somebody. Oh, look what just happened in Garland, Texas. And I definitely hope that Miss Representative Coleman here takes a look at the Department of Homeland Security, because I'm gonna bring up a throwback article from back in 2013. And the reason I'm bringing up this old article, they have many more rounds of ammunition now, but I like the point that Watson makes in this. They had purchased enough ammunition to fight the war in Iraq for another 30 years. And this is the Department of Homeland Security. This isn't the military. Somebody, they got to be worried about some Red Dawn situation. This is the Department of Homeland Security has this massive amount of ammunition. I definitely hope somebody will take a look into that. Also, DHS purchasing paper targets of pregnant women and little children. And when I say children, I'm not talking about some 17-year-old in a trench coat. I'm talking about a little 10-year-old boy who's holding his gun like this and smiling and grinning. And then we wonder why we have shootings like what happened to Tamir Rice, when you're teaching these guys that, some child could easily be your enemy and is out to kill you. So that's what's going on that front. Also, they're trying to ban body armor in states like California, which I'm also against because, you know, just me doing the job that I do, myself, Joe Biggs, and some of the other crew members, we go out to very dangerous situations, and sometimes we take body armor with us. And it's not, everybody's like, well, you got to worry about the crowd. When I was out in Ferguson, I had little to no issue with the crowd. Like, yeah, there's some guy who wanted to argue with me about, you know, how cool it was to burn down buildings and stuff. But by and large, I was more concerned about my safety from what the police were doing. The police were shooting rubber bullets, at least when we were there back in August. In November, they were much better behaved. But when we were out there in August, they were shooting rubber bullets indiscriminately into a blinding cloud of tear gas, you know, and Joe Biggs, of course, got shot with a rubber bullet, had a nice big bruise to show for his efforts. So we have body armor. We have soft body armor. We have a hard plated body armor, which is like basically strapping a skillet to yourself and running around. But we have it just to deal with these type of situations, gas mask as well. And, you know, other people, they may have them for other things. If you just want a bulletproof vest for home defense, that's your business. I don't think the government should be able to tell you not to do that. And while we're talking about the DHS arming up with so many rounds of ammunition, about people using these things for self-defense, let's also talk about the other things that are going on in our government. Let's start with running guns into Mexico with Operation Fast and Furious.
New documents obtained by CBS News show Attorney General Eric Holder was sent briefings on the controversial Fast and Furious operation as far back as July 2010. That directly contradicts his statement to Congress.
And for you guys who don't know about this, no, I'm not talking about Vin Diesel and all those guys. Operation Fast and Furious, which happened under the Justice Department, was a plan to give, well, not just a plan, something that's actually implemented and done. They handed over functioning weapons to Mexican drug cartels to track the weapons. So I guess their logic was like, yeah, we'll let these guys take these guns, functioning guns, not malfunctioned or, you know, not deformed or any way. We'll give these guys the guns to go out there and commit crimes, and then when we catch these guns at the crime scenes, we'll know these guys were handlers of the guns. We'll be able to trace the guns back, which makes no sense because how many innocent people are going to die in this plan before it comes to fruition? And also beyond that, you want to talk about arming of people, let's talk about arming ISIS rebels. The article came out last year, airdropping grenades into the hands of ISIS. And people will say, this is not a big deal. A pallet of grenades is not going to take down the U.S. military. I do agree. But what about all the innocent civilians who are unarmed in those regions? They have to conflict with this now. Disarming people isn't the way to go. And we saw this recently with the representative in Michigan, you know, shooting his shotgun at his ex-wife's car. Shakari Jackson signing off. You can find more reports on the Alex Jones channel on YouTube.
Joe Biggs here with INFOWARS.com. Now today I had a video sent to me multiple times by different people showing a convoy in South Carolina traveling southbound on I-95.
Okay, so these are troops that are on a convoy in South Carolina. It's military operations. Look at all of these tanks on Interstate 95 South. I mean, this is like a war zone. What is going on here? What is going on here?
This is nothing unusual. This has nothing to do with Jade Helm. I can just tell you from my time at Fort Bragg, it's not going to be unlikely in that area to see convoys driving up and down that road. The thing is, though, is a lot of people are concerned about the upcoming Jade Helm exercises. They'll be conducted over 8 weeks in 5 different states. So the way the military works is they're going to conduct these operations at the time they say in those areas. There is normal military training that happens on these roads, and the reason being is when I was at Fort Bragg, we would actually get on 95 and drive south and spread our vehicles out to see how the communications systems that we had, our radios, see if they were linked up good, if they worked, if our headsets worked. And simply, that's all this is. This has nothing to do with Jade Helm whatsoever. These aren't tanks. These look like strikers without the cages on the side for to stop RPGs. These are just regular strikers driving up and down the road, and you can see the guys sticking out. They all have the helmets on with the mouthpieces, and they're simply doing communications checks. And like I said, when I was at Bragg, that's something that we did a lot of the time. It's not uncommon because, you know, when you go overseas and you have to get into these convoys like on Route Tampa in Iraq, it's a very long stretch of road. You have to spread out. The reason you spread out